Thanks a lot for this intro, and thanks a lot for Change Now to invite us to try to present what's going on the market. I just wanted to, so I'm going to present myself. I'm Laurent Babikian. I'm responsible of investor engagement at CDP, which is a not-for-profit organization. I'm going to briefly explain what it is. I'm happy to have with me on the panel Gilles Cutaya, who is Deputy CEO of CPR Asset Management, which is the subsidiary of the largest European asset manager, Amundi, and Fabrice Rahmouni, who is responsible of Index at Euronext, the stock listing company. So I'm trying to, voilà. So yeah, maybe it's good and it's worth being reminded what's going on. We need to achieve the Paris Agreement, which is a maximum of 2-degree world by 2100, ideally 1.5-degree world. We know that business as usual, the way we are today, not changing anything and going on business as usual, we are rather on a 3-7 trajectory, which you can see the line above. So we are very late, and every day we wait without doing anything means that the remaining days we will have to do exponential things. So it's going to be more and more complicated. We also need to fulfill the SDG by 2030, as it was said before. We also need that the energy mix in 2050, we will still need oil and gas, we will still need nuclear, so you cannot change things forever from now on. We have to reduce them, and you see in this matrix that some of the energy will go up. The coal is the one which is going to have the highest decrease from 29% to 5%. So these all are given. I think that we have 3 conditions to reach the Paris Agreement. First of the conditions, the oil and gas industry needs to change drastically its business model. We have a living example of that, which is the Norwegian company Ørsted, which used to be an oil producer, and now it's a renewable energy producer. We're going to celebrate them at the CDP Award in February. And the other way that can accelerate this change is that the investors and the investment community and the lenders community change also the way they invest and they lend money by having into the strategy what we call ESG integration. And finally, we need the circular economy. This is, I think, Change Now is going to cover this very widely, that everybody at each level needs to try to achieve a circular economy. I'm going through, so at CDP, we are the world's largest environmental reporting platform, and therefore the world's largest corporate environmental database. And we ask corporations every year to respond to us on behalf of what we call signatory investors. We have 550 of them, and it creates a pressure on the corporation to go and to show much more transparency and performance. It's not only transparency, but it's also performance. So we need more company to do that. We have something like 8,500 companies doing this exercise, and with the action plan at the EU level and the NFRD directive, we will have also more companies doing that. And in the emerging countries, in Europe, we are pretty much in advance. In the emerging country, we need the company to follow this trend. I wanted also to show you this graphic to say that ESG is performing. ESG is environmental, social, and governance. In finance, when you use ESG, environmental, social, and governance data or product, it is the common term is ESG. And now we can say that when you do ESG, when you are an investor, you have at least the same performance as if you are not doing anything, the normal business. This is the stocks index that is grouping the A list. A list is the score that we give at CDP. We give a score to corporate, and this score measure the environmental performance and the environmental impact of L'Oréal or Unilever on the planet, on the climate change. When you take all the A's and you make an index, you see that it is outperforming the red line, the blue line, which is the average crowd on the stock market. So that's all good news, and we're going to see that a bit later on. Finally, before I start asking my question to Gilles and Fabrice, I wanted to let you know in the room, you are investors, you are individual investors. You can invest 5,000 euro, you can invest your pension, you can invest whatever. Maybe you are you have 500,000 euro to invest. There is a tool that today exists and enables you to act in consciousness when you invest. This tool is Climetrics, and Climetrics is the first transparent, I insist heavily on this terminology, transparent and independent rating, giving you the information on if I give my money to this fund, is it good for the planet, for climate change or not? And I invite you to take the address of the website, which is here. You have the address. You can. It's a public tool. You can go on the website. We score 17,000 funds, and you can, at your level, start investing in consciousness and saying that you want to have a 5 leaves fund, which is the best score. The 5 leaves funds are the funds who are transitioning to a low carbon economy, rather than a 1 leaf fund, which is a fund that doesn't care about climate change. So you can do that using Climetrics. And finally, we're going to start the conversation with Gilles and Fabrice. So I'm going to start first with Gilles. So you are at CPR. You are the deputy CEO of CPR, which is the subsidiary of Amundi. And we could say that you are an early adopter of ESG. And can you please explain us what led you to do that and how is it
Sure.
illustrated?
So thank you for the invitation first. So my name is Gilles Cutaya. I'm Deputy CEO of CPR Asset Management, which is a fast-growing company, more specifically focused on sustainability. We say humbly that we are part of a large trend to address sustainability as a whole, and we belong to one of the first and leading asset management company across the globe, which is Amundi. I just wanted to refer to what Bertrand Badre was saying. It was very inspiring. Thank you for your address. I tend to agree with you that we talk, and we do not take actions. So definitely this is something that we humbly try to do at our level. It's not perfect, obviously, but we try to have concrete solutions and to provide solutions to the global public. Just to coming back to one figure that you gave. So obviously, the global wealth across the globe is around nearly 100 trillion of assets. In dollar, euro, it is almost the same. Now, 25% of this total wealth is applying so-called ESG criteria. The good news is that it's growing fast. So I'm more nuanced than you. I'm still positive on the fact that the trend is there. The bad news, sorry, does not work. The bad news is that 75% we are not still there. So how can we achieve that? And basically, there is one single best advice I can tell you today is to invest in innovative products, in products that basically try to achieve and to tackle main challenges, namely climate, but education, food, security, and I will come back, in a minute in something which is absolutely vital for our society going forward. But definitely investment, the power of your investment is so huge. you cannot imagine. You have great influence through your investment. And if I had to ask one question to the whole audience, do you have responsible investment in your portfolio, in your savings?
Who has that?
Quick update.
Yeah.
If I count properly,
Yeah.
I would tend to think that this is 20 to 30% of the whole room. This is not sufficient, but you have the power to change things through your investment. You can change the world and you can save the world through your investment. So this is something that you have to keep on the back of your mind, and we will come back to that in a minute. And by the way, investing today, it's an absolute need. All the more as your deposit, you are parking your cash into deposit, and with the level of inflation, you are losing money. So there is no way out. You have to invest. You really have to invest. And the other thing I wanted to stress out as well is climate change, because I want to address climate change there. Climate change is one of the best investment opportunity down the road. Al Gore, which was the vice president of the United States, said climate change is the best investment opportunities in whole history. I'm not saying that. This is Al Gore, which is a well-reputed man when it comes to climate change. And there's good reasons for that. By the simple supply and demand mechanism, the 75% of this total wealth, 100 trillion, will flow progressively into the champions in climate change. So the price of these companies in stock exchange will go up. So this is an absolutely reality. So this is something that you have to factor in as well. And as you rightly mentioned as well, Bertrand, carbon price, we have an issue with carbon price today. Today, this is almost null. It's totally nonsense. And I can tell you, I can anticipate that the carbon price will rise significantly over the next years to come. I think this is now the time for broadcasting our video.
Yeah, can we have the video, please?
Vous êtes aujourd'hui 7,5 milliards d'individus. La moitié de vos émissions de CO2 a eu lieu au cours de ces 40 dernières années. Votre croissance démographique et économique est telle que vous êtes confrontés à un dérèglement climatique en partie irréversible. Selon certaines estimations, d'ici à 2100, la température du globe pourrait monter de 5 degrés. Malgré la signature de l'accord de Paris, vos gouvernements peinent à mettre en place des mesures à la hauteur des enjeux. Vous devez pourtant modifier en profondeur votre façon de produire et de consommer l'énergie, les ressources naturelles, les marchandises, les services. Tous vos secteurs doivent être repensés et transformés avec des investissements massifs dans l'innovation, les nouvelles technologies, les projets de compensation carbone, le passage aux énergies propres et renouvelables. Vous devez changer votre modèle de société, votre mode de vie. Pourquoi ? Parce que sinon ce sera à nous de le faire. Nous, pour qui il sera sans doute trop tard. Nous, vos propres enfants.
So we are very happy to have partnered with you to create a new fund, a new category of fund called Climate Action. And maybe you can tell us a bit more about this fund. We need to be fast now because we only have 11 minutes to go.
So very shortly, we are very proud to have partnered with the CDP, which is an NGO. We have launched this global equity fund a year ago. We invest in all countries, in all sectors. As rightly mentioned by Laurent, we do not exclude some sectors. Oil and gas are part of it. Nuclear energy are part of it because they are part of the equation to reach a carbon-free world by mid-century. This is an absolute prerequisite. We have managed to raise 400 million of assets. after 1 year of existence, which is just amazing. And the contribution of investor has been tremendous, from pension funds to insurance companies and even individuals through their private banks. This is something that we have to take into consideration. So we are very proud of that. And to answer the previous question, we have something very pragmatic available to any kind of client. And be sure that the money that you are investing there will have an impact on climate change.
And the carbon footprint of this kind of fund is much lower than the benchmark footprint.
Obviously, but natively, we try to reduce dramatically the level of carbon emissions.
Around 30%.
33% to be precise.
Okay. And finally, you want to say something as a conclusion? What's next?
Still, to rebound on what has been said by Bertrand Badet, there is one thing that we cannot no longer ignore, is social inequality. We see that social inequality are rising significantly in whole countries, US, obviously UK, even in egalitarian countries like Sweden, which is quite noticeable. Just to give you a quick illustration, 10 days ago, 250 million of Indian people were on strike. Half of Europe was on strike 10 days ago. Gives you a sense of what's happening across the globe. And inequalities are a major threat for the stability of our society as well. Not only economy, we are financials. We see the risk coming, but for the whole society. And it's fertile ground to populism. We have all experienced what is happening in the US, in Italy, also in all areas as well. So to conclude, if I may,
yes, please.
I wanted to convey a very simple message, and it's my take for today's session. The first one is we need to innovate. There's a lot of complaints from investors. They are lacking some practical investable solutions to drive, to feed the energy transition. The second point I wanted to underline is you have the power, take the power through your investment. And you cannot imagine how it can influence the way corporates are driven. Third point, we have to invest in people. I just wanted to mention that the second half of the humanity is going to have internet over the next few years. So it will change dramatically the way we should sensitize people about these challenges. So we have a role to play in that field. And the fourth point is climate crisis needs action, no perfection. So all initiatives are welcome.
Thank you, Gilles. Now I'm turning to Fabrice. Fabrice, how is it possible that Euronext has in its strategy, long-term strategy, I think 5 or 6 pillars. One of the pillars is sustainability.
Yes. I would say I would be a liar if I was pretending that I was not ready for this question. So I took a couple of notes, but listening to Mr. Badre's pitch, I would like to tackle this in a different manner. I guess it's important for Euronext because, long story short, this is our responsibility. Let me explain you this. The financing of the ecological transition will require massive investments. That's for sure. So, of course, public money will be a big part of it, and I guess that's the aim of the action plan from the European Commission, named Ambition Green Deal Plan. But this money will not be enough. So we also have to leverage on existing private capital. We have to reallocate, to reorient this private money towards more sustainable investments. So here you can feel that indeed the financial system will have a kind of central role here, and an exchange in the middle of this financial system is going to be even more important, because what is an exchange, long story short? That's a kind of a meeting place between people looking for investments to finance their idea, their strategy, their companies, and people, investors, looking for profitable, sorry, Mr. Badre, but profitable investments. And that's not actually a kind of contradiction. I could elaborate on this. So indeed, Euronext as an exchange is a place where we could at least participate to the relocation of this private capital. And that's why we have deployed a long list of different initiatives, but that's basically the spirit of all the initiatives that have been deployed within Euronext.
Can you tell us more about the kind of product you're doing? Give some example or illustrate what you're saying?
Yeah, it's not even only a question of products. We are an exchange, so we have listed companies on our market. We are talking a lot about ESG and so on. ESG is first of all a question of data. I mean, it's quite difficult for you, for me, for us, to invest in a company if we don't have a clear view on what are their impacts what are the impact of their activities on the planet. So we have to push them, in brackets, to help them to better report their data regarding their activities. So that's why we have released recently a guideline to help the issuer listed on our market to better report ESG data. So that's an important first step. Otherwise, we will be in the blind. And concretely also, we have created a dedicated segment on the green bond indices. On green bond, it's important. Green bond could be indeed, could sound sometimes as greenwashing. But here, what we have decided to do is basically to create a segment on the market that will put light into real green bonds, i.e. based on very strict standards and also double verified by external verifiers. So we know that these bonds will indeed finance green economy and also indices. Indices being, according to the EU, a very powerful tool to reallocate the capital. So we, of course, have extended quite significantly our ESG indices created over the last 3 years.
Yeah, so that's good. And at the EU level, they are developing a new regulation about benchmark and Paris-aligned benchmark, climate transition benchmark. Maybe you can say something about some of the indexes that you have, if you have some figures, ESG versus vanilla indices.
Yes. So indices are indeed a very important vehicle to reallocate investment, according to the EU, but also according to the market. But for which reason? It's when you buy as a retail a product on the stock exchange, like an ETF, like a certificate, like an options and future, most of the time there is an index behind. So if we don't provide the underlying solution, ESG underlying solution, you will not be able as an investor, retail investor, to find the right products. So we have worked with different kind of external partner, CDP and so on, based on the idea that they are smart people, at least smarter than we are, because we are just a stock exchange. So we have external expertises everywhere. So we have partnership with all of them, and we try to create ESG solution for them. Now, I'm here on stage pretending a lot of things, blah, 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 blah. But maybe I'm the biggest liar in the world. And to rebound on your point, don't believe in me. Don't believe me. But because if we discuss about your money, if we discuss about your money, our money, it's a quite important topic, right? So please check the performance of the companies that progressively integrate in their economic strategy ESG considerations, and you will see that indeed, these new ESG considerations are also synonym of financial performance.
Yes, yes. Anything to conclude?
Don't believe in me. Check.
Just check. And we saw a graphic before, and the more we go, the more we will see this kind of graphic.
Check.
So I wanted to thank you, both of you, for coming here. I wanted to conclude, and it will rebound on what was said at the beginning by Bertrand Badre. Voilà. So what we are talking about here is sustainable finance. So as we say in French, my new dada now is responsible capitalism. The sustainable finance is trying to answer the following question. How are we going to feed an extra 3 billion people in 2050 compared to now? with limited resources on the planet. That, we could say, it's the job of sustainable finance. However, it doesn't respond the question, how do we split the cake? Because I like that the capitalism is the best system ever. I'm not so sure. Sorry, market economy. There might be some new system to be created, and some ideas here to be implemented. Because I think on each continent you have everyday people on the street asking for more, purchasing power. We have a big problem with inflation rates. The way inflation is calculated today is wrong. It doesn't take into account, for example, real estate. And when we say that we have a 0% inflation, that is wrong. A lot of economists now are aiming at between 3 to 5% within the developed economy, which changes a lot the way you calculate stock on the market. Because as you were saying, the IRR, if you take the WACC to calculate the stock price of a company, and you say that there's zero inflation, it's fine. If you say that there is 3% inflation, then the price on the stock market of the company will be much lower. So there is a kind of probably a bubble. We know that this bubble will burst because it is systemic to the markets. The capitalism is made in such a way that every 10, 20, 30 years you have crisis. The second thing is that you need to probably, the trust, the notion of trust, they don't have to report, they don't have to audit, they don't have to make annual account. And we know that a lot of trillions of dollars are embedded or are based into trust, that we don't know anything about this. We need to have transparency about that. We can also talk about the way a central bank creates money. Finally, the responsible capitalism is not you can make money within the responsible capitalism, but for example, you can encourage the entrepreneurship and have the Jeff Bezos stories, multiple stories like this. That's fine. But what could be a problem is that when you pay a CEO a fortune, and then when he quits or when you ask as a board to leave, then he has an extra money, which is called a golden parachute, which is amazing because in the salary he has, this insurance should be already taken into account. So there are a couple of ideas that we need to develop to change the way we split the cake. So that's it. Merci beaucoup. Anything else?
Just to demonstrate that we take actions because we need actions. CPR Asset Management, my company, will launch soon a fund about inequalities, which is called Social Impact.
That's great, and we will need much more than that. Merci beaucoup et à bientôt.
Thank you.